Okay, we're gonna try this again. I am so sorry, everyone. Let me... All right, let's see if Traci logs on. I appreciate your patience. Let's see. I'm telling you. Hey, Henry, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your patience. All right, so we have one viewer so far, and I'm waiting for Traci to join us. For some reason at her end is not connecting. And if not, I'm gonna try either doing it a different way through StreamYard instead of through Facebook. But let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. Go to... Well, I will say this. When there's a story that is going to help someone else out in the community or anywhere in the DMV location, yeah, the enemy is not going to want it to be heard or viewed, and we're not going to allow that. We tried it yesterday, and it didn't work out, but we're trying it again today, and we're gonna see what happens. So I have 2 viewers. If you guys are on, please say hi so I know who is watching. And I appreciate your patience. Traci, are you on? I can hear you again, but I don't. Okay, so you're gonna have to, Traci, accept the invitation for the video. So I sent you an invite. So the people that are watching, at the bottom it says bring them on video. I'm not sure if you have that option, but I invited you. So this feature is only going to work if you are on your cell phone, not on your laptop. For some reason, it doesn't give you that feature. Well, what I'm going to do is just talk a little bit about the podcast as Traci gets it together. And as soon as I see her to bring her on as video, then we'll do this. Let's see. Send. Okay, it's out now. Let's see. Oh, there you go, Traci.
Oh my goodness. I had to do it through my phone.
I could barely hear you, so you're gonna have to talk a little louder so everyone can hear you.
Okay, I don't know. I had to do it through my phone. I'm gonna try my best. Can you hear me?
It's like very light. Athea, can you hear her better? Can you hear her better than I can?
And I have my volume all the way up.
Yeah, my volume is all the way up too. So, okay, well, Athea says she can hear you. So maybe it's just our connection.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
well, Thea says she can hear you. So Tracy, you're gonna have to move the phone this way because you're sideways. There you go. Listen, I have to say,
The devil is a liar, okay?
that's right. That's right. Absolutely. Because we've been trying this since yesterday, and it was a challenge yesterday, and today we got on earlier to discuss how to log on, and we had it all figured out, and then all this happens. But it's okay.
Yes,
It's okay.
ma'am.
So I want to welcome those that are on to When Is Enough Enough. This is my podcast. My name is Maritza. I'm the founder of Enough Cries, and I try to do a platform for women the first Saturday of every month so they can speak about their trials and tribulations and how they were able to overcome it. So I know Tracy for about 2 years, you would say?
Maybe 3.
And I didn't even know Tracy's story. We just bonded through a mutual friend, and I never knew Tracy's story. And just about 2 weeks ago, we started talking, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Yeah.
But I'm so fond right now because so much has happened. But Tracy is the founder of a foundation called Tomorrow Cultivating Youth right here in Prince William County. She's a mentor, a mother, and she just had a
My
grandbaby,
grandson.
right?
Yes,
Yes.
on Wednesday. Mm-hmm.
And I know that's special because
Yes.
I'm a grandma, so. But I want to welcome Tracy to my podcast, and I want Tracy to talk about. Let me start with this. Sometimes we can pick our friends to uplift us, but we are not able to pick our family,
Family. Mm-hmm.
right? And our family can be our biggest challenge because we can't just, I mean, we can love them from a distance, but at the end of the day, they still are family, regardless. But I want you to tell us and tell everyone that's viewing this your story as a child. What was
Okay.
your challenge at home as a child?
Okay. First, I want to correct you on the family thing that I had to learn my own. Blood relatives do not make family.
Right.
So, correction on what you just stated. Our blood relatives can be a challenge, but our families aren't a challenge because our families are the one that are there as our village to support us, uplift us, and everything else. Let us know our flaws, our wrongs, and correct us. But blood relatives, yes, they are a serious challenge. And they wind up being the ones that are your worst enemies, which is really sad to say, but it is true.
Right.
So my childhood was a very challenging childhood. I grew up in a single family home, a single mom home, and it was no love as far as it's really weird because my mom, we couldn't go to bed without saying I love you. We couldn't leave the house without saying I love you. But yet it was no bond there as far as, oh, I can go and talk to my mom about anything, get any advice or whatever. It was the physical abuse there. It was oh, you're not words. Can I be real vivid on this video?
Yes.
Okay. I was told I wasn't worth shit. I wasn't going to be shit, and you name it, it was there. The beatings beyond beatings and all that other stuff. So I pretty much had to teach myself how to grow up and survive in this world, fighting and everything else. When I was about 9 years old, and excuse me guys if I get nervous or cry a little, because it literally took me 50 years to tell this story, and I finally even told my own children, who, by the way, I have 4 adult children. My oldest is 41 and my baby is 21. So that just goes to show you how long I held this in.
Right.
Um,
And I
and I'm
commend
hoping
you for
that
that.
we're able to reach more women, because when you hold this in, you tend to take it out on your own children because you're in so much pain and you're hurting so much that the way you grew up and was taught by your own mom or whatever, you tend to do it to your own children. But let's go into when I was 9 years old and my mom had a babysitter, and my babysitter's son not only molested myself, but there was 2 other young girls that were in the child care. And that would go to explain to you why I have my own child care, because it's a place where A mom should be able to send her children and feel comfortable at when she goes to work, because we live in a society now to where the moms do have to work. It's not to where we used to stay home and nurture our own children. So now we have to rely on outsiders to nurture our children when we have to go work a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the reasons why I started my own daycare. So anyway, long story short, the young man did molest myself and 2 other children, and we were told not to say anything, which of course they can really intimidate you to make you feel like it's your fault why it happened, or if you do tell anything, no one's going to believe you, or if you do say anything, I'm coming after you or your family. So because of the trauma my own mother had, when she found out, she did not believe me. Not only did she not believe me, I pretty much got a spanking about it, and it was pretty much told it was my fault that it happened. And so my mom's boyfriend, she did believe in the situation. He did believe in the situation, and he pretty much handled it. He approached the young man, took care of it. Make a long story short, he got arrested. But one of the things that I need women to understand, and you always hear people say, well, why did you stay so long? Or why did you this and do that? When you have childhood trauma and it's not addressed, that childhood trauma tends to dictate your life for the rest of your life until you deal with that trauma. And that trauma would lead you into the wrong relationships, which it did for me. And the reason why it led me into the wrong relationships is because I was in such a dire need of finding someone to love me. And you know what's so crazy? Men that go after women like myself and other women that get abused, for some reason, they know that. And
Yep.
they feed on that.
And they feed off of it.
Oh man, do they so ever feed on it? And then it happens, you know, they abuse you and it's, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. And they even make you feel sometimes like it's your fault why they hit you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the sexual childhood trauma led me into the other physical traumas. And it just was a whirlwind of living wrong. I don't regret having any of my children, but I do regret the men that I chose to be their fathers. But that was because of the love that I was looking for myself, and I didn't love myself.
Right.
And when
And I'm gonna pause you right there for a second. That's like a real strong statement,
mm-hmm.
because I know you work with the youth and I also mentor the youth, and that is our message to our girls, is that
Yes,
is teaching them
self-love.
how to love themselves
Yes.
first.
Mm-hmm.
Because how can we allow someone to love us when we don't know
Yes.
what kind of love we're looking for, or
Mm-hmm.
how we love ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
So I
And to
mean,
love
that's
yourself, you
something
need to
that your
know.
program
Yes.
does, as well
Yes.
as Enough Cries does.
Yes. Yes. You need to know who you are as an individual.
Absolutely.
So once you know who you know what you need to love you.
Absolutely.
And it's impossible to love anyone else if you don't love yourself. It's impossible. I don't care what
Mm-hmm.
anybody says. You may think you are, but you're not.
Right.
So you have to know who you are as an individual. You have to love you as an individual. And when I say you have to love you, that means you have to accept every flaw from your head to your toe.
And
You
that's
have to
hard.
accept it. It's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because I still look in the mirror sometimes and be like, oh my God, your hair, we still do that to ourselves.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think the trauma caused it so badly that we still have not built that confidence to where I can walk out this door and not even worry about looking in the mirror and making sure I'm 100% intact from head to toe. And you can never be 100%.
Right.
But because women like myself and you have dealt with the trauma so much, we're constantly looking at ourselves as a flaw and
Yep.
not a gem.
Yep.
And so we
Absolutely.
have to get our young girls to understand, and some of our women too that are dealing with this. We have to get them to understand the gem that they are. We have to learn how to set boundaries. And one of the things that I teach the youth when I do these self-love is know the signs and don't ignore them,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't change. If they're not
Absolutely.
seeking help on what they're going through, it's not going to change. The abuse is going to get worse. And if you don't mind, I just learned something new yesterday, that there was a law passed in 1993, which I don't understand why it took that long, of spousal rape.
But what's that?
Spousal rape. They
Mm.
just passed that law in 1993 in 50 states that for years, and I'm sure you heard it too, even though I just turned 60, How many times have we heard men say, my wife is my property? Right?
Right.
So they finally passed that law in 1993 of spousal rape. We are not property. You don't own us.
Right.
You don't have the right that when you just feel like you want to have sex, you can have sex with us. Who said that? We're not your property.
Right.
And so it's sad that it took to 1993 for that law to pass, but that is a law now that in all 50 states, your spouse cannot just want to rape you and have sex with you because he feels like it.
And it's right here in Prince William County because I am a sexual assault advocate for acts, and we have had people call in that have been raped by their spouse, and it is against the law. Even if a no is a no, you know, it's you're not consenting because he wants to have sex. A no is a no.
You know, and a lot of men will beat on you and feel like their way of apologizing and making it better is having sex with you. No, that's not right. That's rape. That's literally rape. No matter how you look at it, you took something from me that belonged to me.
Exactly.
That's I have a right to say no to you. So it's just, oh boy, it's very deep, you know, but we have to deal with our childhood trauma first. We have got to start breaking stigmas. And it's so hard because we have these old stigmas of how we were raised that you always hear people say, well, my mom did it, or well, my grandma did it, or this and that. And even myself, having my son at 40, I had to learn maybe like literally 3 or 4 years ago on that children have a right to be heard. They have a right to
and that's
have
you know what, let me interrupt you right there, Tracy, because I know being a Latin woman, in the Latin culture, our parents, when they speak, we don't, you know, the first thing they say is like, do as I say, you know. And you're taking that voice away from that child as to being expressive as to, you know, this is how this makes me feel, or I don't want to do that because A, B, and C.
Exactly.
You know, we don't take the time to hear their voice. And when the time comes that they're going through something so traumatizing, they're fearful of speaking because their voice has been taken away. So we need to change that. You know, we have to be a little more allow our kids to be expressive, allow our kids to tell us when they're having a bad day, when they're having a good day, or and what's actually going on in their lives.
Exactly. And think about it, the abuser knows that as well too, and will say to that child, do as I say. Just be quiet and do as I say. So now that child is thinking, well, my mom tells me the same thing too, so I'm just going to abide by what this person is telling me to do. I'm just going to shut up and do it. And now in that child's mind, they think it's okay because it was okay with mommy and daddy. I was told to just shut up and do.
Right. So let me ask you this, being that we probably were raised the same way with the same mama. How did you change that as a parent with your kids?
It took a lot of years. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of years. And it took my oldest daughter, who's my pride and joy, to literally have to keep saying, Mom, Mom, you know, or tell me, Mom, calm down, or Mom this and Mom that. And then my son, who broke the mold, by the way, I had to learn with him to communicate with him, not just to yell, or not just to, like you said, because I'm the mom and I said so. This generation is completely different for those who have the younger kids like mine. And they would take you through, it would make you think your motherhood in a minute, but it took some therapy, I'm not gonna lie.
True. This is a completely different generation right now we're working with.
Sometimes I'm thinking I'm in a twilight zone, like, what? But I had to really, with therapy, I'm not gonna lie, learn how to listen. And even in therapy, a lot of times my son would express things and I'm interrupting him. Or I'm like, well, I didn't grow up like that. Literally just say, I didn't grow up like that. And I don't understand this and understand that. And so my therapist made a valid point to me one day when he was talking, and he said, Jay, let me ask you something. When your mom is telling you this or she's asking you this, do it sound like this? Wham, 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 wham. And my son replied, yes. And so that made me realize, well, dang, I'm doing all of this and he don't understand a thing I'm saying to him because I'm not communicating. I'm
But
yelling.
that's when they say he's listening, but
But he
he
don't
is
hear
not
you.
comprehending.
Yep.
So, and we have to be mindful of that because, we hear, but if we don't understand the message, we can't,
Exactly.
perform our best or do our best because we're not understanding. We can hear you.
Yes.
And like you said, he hears wah,
Right.
wah, 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 but he's not understanding what is it that you
Exactly.
want.
And again, that's because I never dealt with my own childhood trauma until, like I said, literally 4 or 5 years ago. So as I started dealing with my own trauma, I had to really sit back and pay attention to my children. I had to really sit back and I had a conversation with them and I apologized to my children of all that I did, apologize for choosing the fathers that they have. Do I regret having my children? Not one bit. My children were a blessing to me and a lesson. So I don't regret that. But I do feel like if I would have dealt with my childhood trauma earlier, I might be in a different place, mindfully and spiritually. But when I embraced Islam, it helped me start dealing with a lot of things. It was my peace, and I was able to start accepting me for who I was. And that's one of the things they teach us. And a lot of people feel like women in Islam are oppressed, but we're not. We're actually of the highest, okay? Like there's certain jewelry we can wear, but the men can't wear, and so on and so on. But when I accepted Islam and converted, it helped me learn how to be me. And even when I walk the earth now, certain things just don't bother me.
Right.
But again, I had to deal with my childhood trauma because up until that time, I was a very angry individual. And I was angry at the way my life had gone, and I hadn't dealt with it yet. So that anger was coming out in other things, and it was coming out on my children. And I believe the reason why it was coming out on my children is because those were the ones closest to me.
Right.
So I had to apologize to my children, and the main person I had to apologize to was myself. I had to apologize to myself because I never accepted all that I went through. And it's so much that I can tell on this call of the abuse that I've gone through that it would blow everybody's mind. But on top of that, as I told my story too, I had my daughter just as she turned 18 was diagnosed with cancer with over 22 tumors in her body and no one to be supportive of me. I mean, my family came down and helping this, that. But at the end of the day, I was the one that had to be at the hospital 24/7, had to give up my job, had to cash in my 401k because you can't work because your child is going through chemotherapy 24/7. Like there is so much that my body and my mind literally went through. And because I never dealt with the childhood trauma, I held everything in and I finally exploded. And guess who I exploded on? My children.
And that's
Because
what I
they're
was going to say, like all that trauma from childhood
yes.
and then young adult and
Yep.
then adult and then becoming a mom and facing the challenges as a mother and not having that spouse or that male support there, it's that
Yeah.
burden can get extremely heavy.
Yeah.
And to the
You
point
know, you have
that you are going to explode, and the ones that are going to take that heat is the people closest to you, which are your children. And it's okay, like you said, as a mother you had to apologize. And I think a lot of parents, we make mistakes because we don't come with a handbook. We don't speak to our children about the trauma that we've been through, and then they're really taking the heat for it.
Yeah.
And it's okay, like you did, to apologize, because I found myself having to apologize to my daughters because
Yeah.
at 15 I was sexually assaulted and I lost my
Yep.
virginity. And my girls never understood why I never let them sleep at nobody's
Oh,
house. And I know they hated me at the time for it, but I had my reasons.
yeah.
I just never expressed it to them. But I did not want them to experience that, that whole trauma that I had experienced, that I have carried to now womanhood. And I barely don't even touch that subject because honestly, I haven't fully healed from that. Every time I
I don't
talk about something, it's like domestic violence, because
yeah.
I feel like I'm at a better place. I'm stronger and I can,
Right.
I have overcome that. But that one part of my life, I don't speak on it because I can't help someone if I haven't healed myself.
Right.
But it came to a point that I had to tell my girls when they got older, this is why I did what I did to
Yeah.
protect you. And I know at the moment you guys probably hated me because everyone was sleeping at parties, sleepovers, and I did not allow them that.
But you know what, Marissa? That overprotection to me, and I could be wrong, I think was the best thing we ever did for our children. Because when you read the storylines and the news and stuff now, these kids are being raped by their own fathers. They're being raped by uncle, and they tell you the statistics is 75% of the children that are being raped is by a family member. So if people looked at me that I overprotected my children, they couldn't spend the night, then it's just gonna have to be that.
Right.
But I was the same way. No, who is that? No, do I know their mom? I haven't met their mom. Who's living in the house?
Exactly.
Well, what does the dad do? Does he drink? Like, how many men in the house? I think, to me, that's just protecting our children to the best of our ability. And it's very hard to do because of the trauma we went through. So we try to protect them the best way we can. But like you said, as they got older, they understood why. And now my oldest daughter, her having a daughter, she's the same way. No, you're not just spending the night over anybody's house.
Right.
Not at all. So yeah.
Yeah.
The trauma.
So I have one more question for you, Traci, because I know, how has the struggles with, your whole entire life struggles from childhood to adulthood, how were you able to transform that to creating the amazing youth facility that you have now?
I want to say it couldn't have came from no one but the Almighty above, because only He knows my heart and my passion. And I don't care how many times I had expressed it to anyone, which I did wind up expressing it to my best friend like 2 years before we actually launched it. But me putting my vision into her to where we can, bring this thing together was nothing but God, because I have been wanting to do it for so long. Just watching the kids out in the neighborhood, even watching my own children and what I had to teach them, because the schools don't really teach them the things they really need, the necessities to survive. They're teaching the kids the necessities to go to college. That's just my opinion. Right. So I said to myself that it's lacking so much in the community with our kids, and they want to know why the crime is so high. They want to know why suicide is so high. It's lacking so much in the communities with our youth that is unbelievable. You're shutting down community youth centers and building other things. Right. The youth are the last to get grant money. Okay, like, how do we reach our kids? Because I'm already 60, which means in 7 years another generation is going to be going up for presidency or whatever. Like, we have to raise our kids because they are our future. And so I've always had a passion for kids, always. And I always wanted to see the kids have something to where they can come to. Traci and I, even in the middle of the night, have had phone calls come to us. We've gone to visit kids. We, testify on behalf and this and that. Because at the end of the day, we can't save them all. But like you heard at the T, there are some testimonies that if I just reached one, felt like we're out there and we're doing it. We've been in existence for 7 years. We not only focus on mental health and abuse and domestic violence with the kids, but we also focus on financial literacy, which, by the way, this Friday, I'm going to be at George Mason hosting the financial literacy workshop with KPAC. I've done it with the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, the Prince William County chapter. We're partnered with Stafford County Schools, Prince William County Schools. Just May and June, April and May at Potomac Shores Middle School, we did the self-love workshop and financial literacy. We do college tours and stuff like that. So my whole vision and goal for TC Ride is to reach more youth throughout the whole Northern Virginia. Yeah. And since we've been in establishment of 2017, we have had over 200 members. Every single one of our seniors have graduated. So I feel really proud of Tomorrow's Cultivating Youth.
Absolutely. And like you said, I think if one adult in each household would reach out to mentor one child in Prince William County, in your county, just one. And it's not that hard. It's just pretty much because everything is technology now. Yes. Shoot a text. Yes. How are you doing? Do you need help in school? How's your day today? You'll be amazed how, the communication that they don't have with their parents, but they will have it with you. because
I'm
me
so glad you
mentoring
said that.
kids, I've noticed that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it, so me when I mentor kids at the Boys and Girls Club, and they'll come in and they'll be a little, especially the girls, because
Mm-hmm.
I have girls, they have attitudes, straight up attitudes, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, shut it down, because I'm not the one. So however you are with your mama, that's fine. But when you come here, you're gonna come with
Mm-hmm.
respect, and I'm gonna be your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And when they would leave, and I would tell them, okay, see you next week, love you. Some of them will pause and be like,
I tell all my youth, yep.
and I'd be
Mm-hmm.
surprised, like, did she not
Yes.
hear the word I love
Uh-huh.
you?
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like I always tell everybody, okay, have a good day, bye, I love you,
Yeah.
and like even when I speak to you, like, hey, beautiful, and I'm like, hey, mama, I call everybody mama,
Yep.
hey, mama, and I do check on my friends to see, hey, just wanted to say thank you for your friendship,
Right.
thank you for being there.
Right.
They find it so odd, like,
Mm-hmm.
are you okay?
My
And I'm like,
children too.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just checking on you. But if one adult would reach one kid in their city, in their town, to mentor, I think our youth will be better off
Yeah.
because they're lost
And they're
right now.
going through so much at home, just like you said, that one hug or that one, I love you, have a good day. And just like you said, with the technology, every Monday I send out a motivation
Right.
to the youth. And we can have 60 youth, but I'm texting. And so because we were getting so many youth, we now put it in our weekly newsletter of our
Right.
Monday motivation. But you'll be surprised. Ma, you always saying hi to everybody. Ma, you always saying I love you. You don't even know that person. Just because I'm not in love with them doesn't mean I don't love them. I
Right,
love them, which means
exactly.
that I
And
want
that's
the
a
best for
difference.
them.
Yes.
Yes,
My kids say the same thing, like, Ma, you're talking to everybody.
right.
Well, I like how it's just a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what a person's going
Yep.
through
Mm-hmm.
beside you. Like
Exactly.
you and I, we were very well, we're very good at pretending that nothing's going on. And if someone was to give me a compliment or just make a gesture as to how's your day going, when I felt like I was in that dark place, that would have mattered a lot.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like we need to, be kind to our neighbor or be kind to the next person, because we don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
We don't know what that neighbor's going through in that house,
Yeah.
you
That's
know?
so true. It's so true.
And we're so quick to judge or not give a compliment to another woman because we can be catty. And it's okay to say, hey, you look beautiful today. I love your
Mm-hmm.
shoes. Or, how's your day going? I love speaking to my kids. I'll be like, Mom, like, I'll wait for you in the
I'll
car.
be like, girl, you rocking them shoes. Oh my God. Bro, look
Exactly.
at your hair. And I may look a hot mess that day, but I'm gonna give a compliment where I see it's going on. I'm the same way. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, that's a good thing. I think we have 3 viewers, but if we have those 3 viewers commit to like one team in your city just to mentor them and just check on them, I think
Yeah.
it will help a lot of our
Oh, most
youth in the
definitely.
community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because right now they're so lost. They're so
Yeah.
lost. And our facilities only open until a certain amount of
Yeah.
hours. Like what, they close at 5 or 7.
Most of the time, yeah.
And
Mm-hmm. But I
after
mean, you
that,
got to
they're
think
pretty
about
much
it.
in the streets.
When we grew up, we could hang out at the mall or we can hang out, hang out at the park and stuff. They're not allowed to do that because the crime is growing so drastically. Like, where are these kids supposed to go to? You got skating all the way down in Manassas or uh, Stafford. All they have is the mall. They don't have. They have the leader. Mm, the flight places now too, but that's not really for teenagers. That's really more like the younger kids because they jumping and stuff like that. What is there around here for these teenagers
Right.
to do? That's the question.
Right.
So
So I
we
have one
all got
more
to put
question
together.
for you,
Mm-hmm.
Traci. So it just like slipped my mind now because as you were speaking, I was just like, oh, let me ask you that. So, what was your epiphany moment in your life that you said to yourself, this is it. I need to change my life for the better. Do you remember one epiphany moment that really made you realize like it's time for me to make a change?
There was two actually. My first husband and my second husband. And both of them were pretty much the same, mentally abusive or
Mm-hmm.
making me feel like I was less than myself. And so I had to finally I literally just sat down one day and I was crying for my second husband and saying to myself, what am I doing wrong? Like it seemed like nothing I do pleases this man. But then I had to keep looking in the mirror and I'm looking at myself. Am I, what's wrong? Something just said, Traci, there's nothing wrong with you. It's everything wrong with him. And a lot of times we as women, we go searching for the men instead of letting God send the man to us. And so I found out, and this is just me, that when I go looking for that man, it's the wrong one. So now I've been married twice, divorced twice, and I'm happily single because these men come with a lot of crap. And so I just pray on it. And when God says that's him for you, then that's him for me. So,
Right.
so again, me loving myself made me wake up to realize that you deserve so much better than it was to the point you say, okay, I like you in heels. I put the heels on, then you complain about the heels I got on. Oh, I like you in skirts. Okay, I put a skirt on. Well, that skirt is too this and too that. What? So then I had to finally say to myself, am I pleasing him or am I pleasing me? And that's what it turned out to be.
Right.
So it'll get to a point to where every single one of us will get that epiphany and be like, this is not for me. This is I can't keep going on like this. And you can't. And I even with my kids, if they stress me out, I'll be like, nope, not taking that negativity. Not today. And not any
We
other
need a time
day.
out, right? We're like,
Yeah.
time out.
Yeah. You go over there with that. I'm just not having it. Yeah.
Right.
And it's kind of weird because they looking at me like I'm crazy, like, dang, what's wrong with mommy? But I'm not having the negativity. I'm sorry. That's my
Right.
epiphany.
So just to close out, because I know it's a Sunday and people have to get ready for the week, what would be your one advice for women? And just because I noticed that I had a gentleman on as well watching, what would be your advice for someone who has gone through trauma and um, wants to do something positive? Like, how do they do that transition?
My advice would be one, you have to talk about it. You can't keep holding it in because you will explode. And
Mm-hmm.
that explosion may be at the wrong time or at the wrong person. um it's like a wound. You can't heal the wound if you don't take care of it, right?
Right.
So if you don't take care of that hurt and that trauma that you have sustained, it won't get better. Am I saying it's going to disappear? Not at all, because I still deal with it. But I'm learning how to deal with it. Okay.
Right.
Also know the signs. I even tell these young girls, and I watch these young boys push them or call them a B or something like that, and I tell these young girls, that's a sign.
Right.
You
Right.
deserve better than that. No boy, girl, or whatever should be pushing you, number one, saying they're playing, or number two, calling you out your name. That is the first signs of
Absolutely.
abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So pay attention. And don't be afraid to, at some point in life, you have to let go of certain friends and just move on. Because again, you have to take care of self so you can take care of others.
And have, don't be afraid to speak to your children about, our daughters about, um, that pushing that it's okay. Like teach our daughters, like, learn to be respected, demand your respect from the
Hello.
beginning so
Mm-hmm.
they know how to
From
treat
the
you
beginning.
and what your name is.
Yeah.
Like don't have them calling out your name.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to make a statement too, because you said about wounds. And I was just explaining to somebody because I was like talking about, well, we need to heal our wounds. I said, yeah, but we can't put a band-aid on it either.
Exactly. Heal it.
We have to
Mm-hmm.
heal
Yep.
because you can put a band-aid on a wound and it still can get
Mm-hmm.
infected.
Mm-hmm.
So that infection will still continue to grow, and then you'll just have a bigger issue than what that little wound started. So you have to clean that wound, disinfect that wound,
Mm-hmm.
and allow that wound to go through a process, because once a cut, you get stitches and then your body produces a scab. And
And that
once the
new
scab starts
layer.
shrinking is when your wound is
Right.
healed. So even when you have a cut, it has to go through a process. But before it begins the process, you have to start by applying the proper ingredients
Mm-hmm.
for it to heal properly. Because if not, then you'll have a bigger issue and an infection and you have a bigger problem.
Yeah.
So we have to take time to heal ourselves
Mm-hmm.
before we go into a relationship.
Yeah.
And sometimes love is not enough if we're not healed. because we're taking a
Love will
baggage
never
into
be
another
enough.
relationship
Yeah.
just because we love them. And it's not fair for that individual to experience our baggage
Yeah.
when we're not completely healed.
And that's what I said. I had to learn to take time out and love me. I had to stop going from relationship to relationship or marriage to marriage, trying to find what I was missing. You want to know what I was missing? I was missing me.
Right.
That's why my marriages or my relationships wasn't working. One, they were the wrong ones. And two, I never found it me to even know how to love me and know what Traci needed. I had to take care of Traci before I can even take care of her husband.
Anybody,
And
right?
that's what the problem was.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you one last example that when we did a youth retreat with our girls, and one of the things that we did in the beginning is they had a little sticky note and they had to write on there one of the things or the trauma or the abuse or whatever, one of the things that they didn't like about in life that they wanted to get rid of. And so at the end of that retreat, I said, okay, everybody take out that piece of paper I asked you to write on and fold it up. And so I lit the grill and I said, before we throw this piece of paper in here, can somebody tell me why we're burning this and not burying it? And one of the young ladies said, yes, because whatever you bury can be dug back up. Whatever you burn is gone. So just remember that.
Right.
Whoever is going through it, let it go. Burn it and let it go so you can heal. But you can't heal if you don't deal with it.
Right.
And it's hard to deal with because a lot of times when we go through the abuse we've gone through, we feel like less of a person, and you're not. And it's not your fault while you're going through the abuse either.
And you're not going to forget because it is your trauma.
Yeah.
But you learn to deal with it, and you learn to move forward with your life and turn it into something positive. At least I tried, that was my goal. Like, I know I have this trauma and I don't know how to heal with it, but helping other women allowed me to heal myself.
Exactly.
So I took that and ran with it. And I will say, I mean, I count my blessings, but it's been 10 years that I've been running my organization, and I'm, again, with the grace of God and just being obedient to the word and doing good in my community. That was my healing process. That was my breakthrough.
Right. You feel like you're giving that love back that you knew that you had in you to begin with. Yes, exactly.
So Traci, before we finish our segment, please share with everybody how they can get in contact with you, because I know you have a daycare also.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell us a little bit about the Tomorrow Cultivating Youth and how people can get a hold of you.
Sure. So we have a website for those that are listening, and it's www.tcyouth2017.org, and all of our information is on there. We have scholarships coming up. Our membership is on there, volunteer opportunities, and all the things that we're doing in the community with the youth. I've had my daycare for 12 years now, which also has a Facebook called Knowledge Begins Here Learning Academy. And one of the reasons why I started that is being a single mom. You know, the problems we run into, it's too expensive, or the child care provider is abusing your child. So that's why I have my Learning Academy as well.
Okay. We're going to post all that information. So, I mean, that is a lot of information, but we're going to post it so everyone can have it. And if you don't need it, at least you have the information to pass it on to someone who may need Traci's services. So, Traci, I am so glad, girl.
Thank you.
We tried this yesterday, and we tried today.
Yes, but we did
it. We got it done, and I'm glad that you're a guest. And I'm really thankful for everything that you've been through, because it is who you are today and what you're giving back to our youth. And
thank you for the invite, and I look forward to both our organizations collaborating and touching our youth. I really do.
Absolutely, absolutely, because our love for our youth is just, it's amazing. I mean, that's, like you said, they are our tomorrow.
Yep, and congratulations on your 10 years, boo. Woo, woo.
I know. Thank you.
I'm at God's favorite number right now. I'm at the 7, but we're getting there.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. But thank you again for being a guest. And we'll probably be doing a call. What is it? That Latin is not coming out. Collaborating together. You see, that little Spanish came in there with the accent.
Thank you, beautiful.
But Traci, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I love you, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Boo.
Bye.
Keep up the good work. Bye bye.